Hello, when it comes to directors, there's absolutely no one to beat my guest tonight. From Sadak and Arth to Papa Kehte Hain and Chahat, he's held millions in his thrall. You could literally call him a one-man industry. Tonight, Mahesh Bhatt is going to explain how that industry works. Mahesh, I want to first talk to you about your work as a director. You're responsible for some really great films, Sadak, Arth, Sarash, but you're also responsible for some pretty awful ones, like Papa Kehte Hain, Chahat, Gentleman. How do you explain the contrast?
How to explain that a low-grade moron is born and the most hideous-looking creature is born, and Aishwarya Rai or Sushmita Sen or Liz Taylor is born? Mother Nature gives birth to all kinds of creatures. Some are ugly, some are gorgeous. If you can't explain the coexistence of the squalor and the gorgeous peaks of the Himalayas which you worship. So I think being a part of Mother Nature, we oscillate between brilliance and absolute mediocrity. The highs and the lows are inevitable.
So you mean to say it's completely out of your control? You have no idea when you're directing a film whether it's going to be a Sadak or whether it's going to be a Chahat?
No, you have an idea because there are times when you are really pushing yourself and making things happen, but they don't really gel, and that's when you land up with films which don't work.
Is there nothing you can do when you yourself sense it's not gelling?
No, you see, the principle that we follow in the mainstream cinema is of the publish or perish principle. Either you are there making a film, manufacturing. For me, filmmaking is running an establishment and you have to manufacture these products from time to time. There are times when things, as I said, work, at times things don't work. Most of the time they don't work.
Let me probe that differently. Would you say that there are some films you make for money and there are others that you make because the subject is challenging?
Not, as I keep on saying, I always answer it this way, not all films are love stories. Most of them are one-night stands, and it's not possible to love everything that you do.
But a one-night stand can be incredibly satisfying.
Well, Sadak was a one-night stand, which you are raving about. It was purely made with that kind of commitment to the box office return.
Papa Kehte Hain was a love story.
Well, it did not work the way we wanted it to work, but a film like Tamanna is one that one likes to make. One also reflects on oneself when you make that film.
Okay, you mentioned Tamanna, and I want to talk about Tamanna in a moment, but first tell me, what is the criteria you exercise when you as a director are choosing a subject for a film?
Well, there are no hard and fast rules. There are certain projects which come to you and you're just asked to lend your skill and your so-called management skills that you have acquired over a period of time.
That's the factory process you're talking about.
Yeah, and that is what, and then you see the package works, you see whether the story has some kind of dramatic spine.
But where does that have to appeal, that dramatic spine? Does it appeal here or does it appeal here?
Most of the time when we make a film, whether it's a Gentleman or a Chahat or a Papa Kehte Hain, which you say that you don't like.
You don't like my saying it, huh?
No, these films are made with the firm conviction that they will work. Nobody wants to slog day in and day out, take shots, go and instruct the actors, compose music, believing that they're going to not work or they're going to give you brickbats. At that moment, we all believe that it's going to work.
Okay, what about then when you discover it hasn't worked? Do you sit down and analyze what went wrong, or do you say, no, it's a closed chapter, I'm moving on?
You know, all analysis is actually ridiculous. It's like, I give the analogy, it's like you go to a flowing stream, you take a bucket of water, you bring it to the laboratory, you analyze it, and say, oh, now we know what the stream is all about. But damn it, the flow is missing. The audience is a very dynamic thing. The audience taste is continuously changing. They themselves do not know what they want. So
you never look back at what are failures to say, where did I go wrong? Presumably you don't also look at successes and say, what did I do right?
I mean, to simplify that would tantamount to falsifying it. I mean, no wonder the magic of the movies really actually, the bedrock on which the whole world of entertainment is built, that you can fail. The chances of you failing are more. That's why it makes it.
But Mahesh, this is very interesting because they're talking about movie making as if it's magic. So it's inspiration, it's a flash. It's not really perspiration and analysis and detailed, minute work.
No, you have to back it with work, hard work, and very monotonous, very boring work.
But jadoo bhi hai.
Jadoo, but to retain that magic, to have, I was just telling my junior, Tanuja Chandra, who's a very bright chick, who's directing Pooja's next film, that listen, the only way to make sure that the film is going to work for you is to make sure that the power comes to you from the core of the film. It's the film, it's not the cast, it's not the budget and all that's going to really see you through. It's the film, the heartbeat from
Okay, one of the
where it's
films
also-
that has that power in the core is one of your new films that's about to come out, Tamanna, and to me, it feels very much as if it's gone back to the great Mahesh Bhatt tradition of Sadak and Sarash. Now, where did the Tamanna idea come from?
Well, as I said, from the heartbeat of life, it has got the pulse, the throb of life. It's a real life story of this fascinating man called Tiku, who one day...
Do you know him personally?
Yeah, I know him. Who picked up a mutilated girl child from the streets of Mahim. And without organization, without the support of any religious group, brought up this child for his own sake. And it's much later when I had made Sadak, when I had called him to meet, to pay him back, because I was somewhere inspired while I was making Sadashiv's role really work. I used to draw on my memory of Tiku, whom I had known as a child. So I called him to pay him back in a way for after the phenomenal success of Sadak. This guy, while he was taking some money from me, which he needed very desperately, narrated me his life.
And that became...
And that became Tamanna. And I said, look, Tiku, instead of me giving you something, look, I'm stealing from you again. So in fact, I was telling Tanuja, I said, we must, after the end of Tamanna, write this piece called Stealing a Masterpiece. We have
Okay,
stolen this.
Let's not talk about stealing a masterpiece, because at the same time as doing Tamanna, you're doing another film, Dastak. And is that simply being done because it's a creative urge in you, or are you doing it because you're providing a platform to Sushmita Sen?
Well, Dastak, let me be very clear about Dastak. It was a project which I really wanted to do because my assistant Vikram, who is a director in his own right now, who's made for him, narrated me a story, and I liked the story. There was something sparkling, fresh. There's some freshness which really grabbed me, and I felt here's an opportunity to work with three newcomers: Sushmita Sen, Sharat Kapoor, and Mukul Dev.
And why Sushmita? What made you think that a Miss Universe, a model, had that sparkling quality? I mean, what did you see in her? Because you've translated it on screen, but how did you detect it to begin with?
Well, I had no idea what she's going to really be, what she's going to turn out to be, but I met her once, and then I was trying to really gauge what she's all about when I really said start, sound, camera, action on the first day. The first day was okay, but as I kept on taking the shots, I found that she was improving, and from the first day to the last day, she was one great learner.
मुझको जब ऐसे देखती हो तुम रंग भर जाते हैं फिजाओं में कसमसाती है आरज़ू दिल गीत घुल जाते हैं हवाओं में.
In all movies, it's not just the story that is important, it's the quality of the acting. How much of that is you, as a director, drawing out the best from your actors?
See, it has to be there. I can't...
You can't put it inside them.
Put it in.
But how do you draw it out?
By creating an environment of trust, love. Make them feel that you are with them.
Do you also actually enact things for them to give them an idea of tone and manner? And
Yeah, but I'm a pathetic actor. I do not know how they manage to do so well with me acting out those things.
Because one of the most amazing things about Tamanna is the great performance from both Pooja and Paresh.
Yeah, I think Paresh is spectacular. He just amazes me.
कहाँ गई थी तू?
पिएगी तू? बेबी, चाय पिएगी बेटा? मुझसे बात कर तमन्ना। ए तमन्ना, ए साजिद, बेबी को बोल लो मुझसे बात करे। मुझसे बात नहीं करेगी तू? मुझसे बात नहीं करेगी, मैं अपनी जान दे दूंगा। मैं तुझसे झूठ बोला था, तू मेरी बेटी है। मैं क्या करता? मैं कैसे कहता कि मैं कीचड़ा हूं? अब सलीम भाई, मुझे ऊपर वाले ने ऐसा बना, उसमें मेरा क्या दोष है? मेरे पैदा होने पर मेरा अधिकार थोड़ी है बेटा। मैं कैसे रोकता है अनहोनी? मेरा क्या दोष है बेटे?
Did it come naturally to Paresh, or did you have to work on it?
I think Paresh had the guts, the audacity to really, he knew he was grappling with something which was really awesome. And he just had the audacity to just do it with a certain amount of reckless ease. He was so easy. And what has turned out on screen is something marvelous. And I don't think you have people like Paresh amongst us. People when they have...
He's unique, huh?
He's unique.
You know, the other great quality about a Mahesh Bhatt film are the songs. I mean, you have great songs. Do you pay particular attention to that?
I like singing.
Can you sing?
Not now.
थोड़ा गा के मुझे सुनाओगे
थोड़ा तुझे कैसे मैं बताऊं, तुम्हें कैसे मैं कहूं, मेरे बस में अगर हो तो मैं बस इतना ही कहूं, तुम्हें दिन भर तुम्हें हर पल देखता ही मैं रहूं, blah 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 blah. And
अच्छा blah 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 मत कहो, क्योंकि जो गाना आप गा रहे हैं ताजुब की बात है is la 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 चोरी किया हुआ है.
Of course.
It's windmills of
It is, of course,
your
Windmills of Mind
mind.
is a song which my wife used to sing, and I love this
So
song.
ये मैं
and
पूछ रहा ना, you have wonderful songs, but then why do you suddenly have chori?
Why not?
This is plagiarism, yeah.
Why not? Why not? I mean, it's like the like person who has composed the song has told him somewhere you don't know the source. All originality is considering the source, my dear.
Not always the case in Dil Hai Ke Manta Nahi, which is another one of your wonderful movies. Sapno Ka Saudagar
Is
Bachelor Boy.
it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
In fact, we once did a test. We ran the clip with Pooja dancing, faded out the original, faded in Bachelor Boy, and she was still dancing in tune.
Yeah, and that was a song I loved, Bachelor Boy.
But doesn't it hurt you and upset you that sometimes you have great music and sometimes your directors give you plagiarized stuff?
No, it doesn't. I myself am a thief. I keep on stealing from Tiku's life. But they steal from your own experiences or from film memory. I don't claim to be an original.
So there's no copyright
I'm
now.
not trying to put a kind of a mask of being an original creator. So it doesn't, but if you catch me, I don't feel exposed.
There's
I
no
don't have
pride
to,
or shame.
I
about
don't feel, I'm just, as I give the analogy of a rag picker. I walk down the streets, pick up things, take it to the marketplace and sell it.
Well, Mahesh, I'm afraid we've got to take a commercial break at this point, but I want to come back in part 2 and talk to the rag picker.
Rag picker.
Don't go away, we'll be back in just a moment to catch up with the rag picker. See you in a moment. Welcome back to part 2 of our interview with Mahesh Bhatt. Mahesh, you called yourself a moment ago a rag picker. Your friends say you're eccentric. Your critics say you're bonkers. What's the truth?
I don't know. I really can't. At times when I start looking at my own life and I feel I'm reading the life of a stranger.
You mean you don't know yourself?
I don't know. I really don't know. I wish, at times I look back and look at things I've done, the work I've done, and I try to figure out, was that me? Who's this guy who's looking at, and in this dialogue with memory, you really get lost. You don't know where you're really at. I really don't know. I guess I'm all this. I mean...
Is it that you don't want to understand yourself, or is it that you're actually confused about yourself?
Confused, maybe. Confused. There's so much of data, so much of information. so many people are saying, all seem to be claiming to know the answer.
Okay, let me ask you a different question. Is that the genuine truth that you're confused, or is that just a very clever, intriguing thing to say?
No, I'm confused because if I was clear, I mean, that confusion, knowing it is confusion itself is a sign of clarity. I would say that I'm clear to that extent to realize that I'm confused about the issues that are. I'm no different when I began my journey. I mean, the basic issues still haunt me. They still bother me.
You know, you talk about life as a journey. Is it the journey that's important? Is it getting there that's important?
I know people say the journey is very important, but I love being where I am. I wanted to get here.
Where's here? What is it that you love and
To
that
have,
you achieve?
I have the resources that I worked for. And I keep on saying this to people. The absence of money destroys the dignity that you have. You can live your life on your own terms, but it has to be backed with economic might.
Okay, so that I can understand how important this present position is, what was life like when you started out? What sort of childhood did you have?
I was the first son of a Muslim woman masquerading as a Hindu in a predominant Hindu area. That's material for my last film, which I will make, called Shireen, based on my mother. My father is a filmmaker, Brahmin. My father and mother were not married. I lived in that area with 4 sisters, grew up with a mother who brought us up in convent schools, memories of Ganesh, Quran Sharif, Matam, Easter, the church. Post-independent India, next to Shivaji Park.
Was it a rich family?
Middle class family. And took to filmmaking because of economic need.
For security?
Yeah, because my father was not doing very well when I was at 15, 16. And I felt responsible as a male child to keep...
Were you the eldest male child?
Yeah, and to do something for the household. So started from summer jobs.
Why films?
Because I was a bad student, I was no good. I was no good in my education. Because I always felt that what they're teaching me is what I don't need. I don't need this, what they're teaching me. What value does it have? And so I had nothing, no tools that I had worked for. So my father was a film man and people knew him, and my cousin, who was a friend of Mr. Raj Khosla, came on the scene, and she asked me to take up a job with Raj Khosla. And he was kind enough to keep me on. I worked with him as a production
Was
manager.
the young Mahesh Bhatt very ambitious?
Very ambitious, very fierce ambition. I remember when I was, that I would almost call that the turning point of my life. I was catching, I was in my summer vacation, I used to catch a train from Dadar to go to Thane to work in some factory. And I suddenly felt that I was just a part of this huge crowd. These people just moving, and I said, come on, you can't be a part of this. You're supposed to be somebody special. And with that came the realization, he says, all your claims of being something special is bogus, buddy. You're just a part of this crowd. And that really hit me hard. And ever since, I think that was the thing that drove me.
So you've always been trying to stand apart.
Stand apart. But then as you journey, as you go wherever you are supposed to go, you make it, you discover that all your life you tried to move away from them. And in fact, what you can feed your fires of being somebody by, discovering things which are common between you and those people.
So the self-discovery continues all the time.
And you can never really de-link yourself from the people whom you're trying to de-link yourself from.
You still have that ambition? You still have those burning fires?
Yes, of a different kind. I think the fires...
How have they changed?
I would say that the feeling of incompleteness is still there. I can cope with it now. People say you're so rich.
You still need the money?
Not anymore. I think I have now called it a day. I'm not going to work anymore.
Do you still
for
hunger
money.
after success, professional success?
I would like to do things well whenever I do.
Does it hurt when I say, as I had earlier on, कि पापा कहते हैं चाहत, they do want that?
And you'll never get over that. Because anybody who pretends that he can take Show me a person who can take failure gracefully, and I'll show you a failure. Failure belittles you. That bile, the bitterness, actually is the thing that motivates you to, spurs you on, pushes you on to do something significant.
And you respect that in others?
I like people who fight failure.
Even if they do it raucously, even if they do it belligerently?
It doesn't matter. Fair means if possible, foul means if necessary.
Do you resort to foul means?
I think so. You can't reach wherever you are without treading on people's toes and climbing on their shoulders. It's
So
not possible.
would you say you're ruthless?
I think I am ruthless.
Single-minded?
Fierce, single-minded. And that's no other way. All the religious nonsense they teach you takes the drive away from you, the bite away from you. And the man who prophesies that teaches you sits on the dais and throws these empty phrases at you. He doesn't for a moment look at himself, how egoistic he is, how self-centered he is. He makes a living by throwing these empty phrases.
But you actually admire the ego in people. You admire the drive.
I love unreasonable people. Unreasonable people are responsible for the world of success.
Do you admire Ayn Rand and books like The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged? Because she stood for this philosophy.
I tried to read her. I couldn't really go through that thick work.
But she believed in selfishness. She wrote about the value of selfishness.
Even if you don't believe in selfishness, the fact is that each one of us is selfish to the core. The whole quest for selflessness is the selfish quest.
Okay, we've come on to becoming mystical suddenly, and that's another strand of you that is known to some but not all. How did you get associated with U.V. Krishnamurti, and what does he mean to you?
Well, U.G. Krishnamurti is the source from where I derive whatever I am.
He gives you the ambition, the drive?
No, he doesn't give me anything. It's what I read in him, the insights that I have because of the interactions I've had with him over the period of time. It is he who took away the spiritual goal away from me, made me feel that this is the only reality in which you have to operate. And if you do not become successful in these circumstances, you might as well.
Did he help you rationalize and understand yourself?
No, he took away all those bogus comforters from me, made life difficult for me. Ghosh told me the blunt, uncomfortable truths, demolished me from time to time, did not let me get complacent, was never in awe of whatever I had achieved even now. I feel it was that repeated encounters with a man like that that made me really see where I am. And I have the critical faculty intact to see that no matter what I say, that I am a success story, but I know how microscopic the success is.
Okay, you're a success story, and there's no doubt you're on the pinnacle, you're at the top today. Look back on your life. You've not just had failures, you've experimented with all sorts of things, drugs, you've had affairs, you've destroyed lives, you've made lives.
Have I?
Do you regret any of the things? Was it all part of a journey?
I think life is too short for regret, grief, or bullshit. If I was given a chance to relive my life, I don't think I would be different. I would do the same things.
Is there something you'd want to do more of?
I have made enough money. Now I want to go and make the films that I always wanted to make, films like Taman, now to make Shireen now, which is perhaps going to be a return back into the memories of the young Mahesh Bhatt who was 10, 8, 9, and his mother. And
so that's interesting. Your goal today is to go back to doing movies like Saraj.
Yeah, go back to the, you travel back in a way you always travel back to one or two images of your childhood. All art is perhaps journeying back to those images.
So Mahesh is coming full circle slowly but surely.
Yeah, we're moving towards that image of a dark night in which I was putting these jugnus in my mother's hair, glowworms. I remember that, and the original woman of my life is my mother.
Mahesh, we look forward to seeing that depiction of your mother on screen when you do Shireen. Thank you very much for talking to us today. That's it for this week. We'll be back with another interviewee next week, but till then, goodbye.